stoning and crucifixion, Yemeni Houthis sentence 9 to death for homosexuality. The Houthi rebel group, the Islamist political and military organization that controls large parts of Yemen, including the capital Sana'a, has sentenced 9 men to death, including by the horrific punishments of stoning and crucifixion on dubious charges of homosexuality or sodomy. This is the latest in a series of mass trials and harsh punishments targeting the LGBT community in Houthi controlled territories, just 2 months after the group sentenced 13 other men to death for being gay. According to Niku Jafarnia, the Yemen and Bahrain researcher for Human Rights Watch, quote, the Houthis are handing down death sentences and subjecting men to cruel mistreatment without a semblance of due process. The Houthis are using these cruel measures to distract from their failure to govern and provide people in their territories with basic needs, end quote. Human Rights Watch's review found serious violations of Yemeni due process, including police failing to provide arrest warrants and unlawfully confiscating the men's phones, underscoring the Houthis' quote, abhorrent disregard for the rule of law. Shocking from an Islamist, I know, as they ruthlessly crack down on LGBT individuals and areas under their brutal control. So I obviously thought that this was a very important thing to cover and discuss for some obvious reasons. First of all, should I get a little bit spicy right now? I
Yes,
actually
please.
this is not what I was gonna say, but I have a little bit of a spicy opinion right now that just came to mind. Okay. And this is a personal opinion of mine, but this is why I don't believe that there is an actual LGBT community in North America, or one that has its priorities straight or has its head on straight. We work an ass backwards. Okay. Why do I say that? Because although there are still issues and discriminations and things that happen in North America, by and large, in most ways and places, we are equal under the law. There's some instances where there's some things that could still be improved. But by and large, we are protected as equal citizens under the law, which is unprecedented. We have had record speeds of people becoming less homophobic in our societies, to the point that now we are like looking for new ways to call things homophobic and act like a victim. And let me be clear, I am talking about the community in North America. I know this is very, very, very different in other countries. So my feeling about the LGBT community doesn't exist probably doesn't apply for other countries. Let me just clarify that. And instead of going, okay, we have come so far in terms of establishing individual liberties for ourselves as sexual minorities, because this is what LGBT rights should be about. It should be about the protection of individual liberties. But we strayed very far from that in North America. And so we should be going, okay, we have come so far in establishing individual liberties and protections for ourselves as a community. Where are we leaving other people behind in the world? But that's not what we do as a community here in the most like in the largest, most visible, most represented countries, in the most economically powerful countries, the most visibly represented like communities. Like in my neighborhood, the sidewalks are painted rainbows. You're telling me we don't have representation? There are, of course, a lot of homophobia that still exists, but it is at record lows. Actually, that's not true. Homophobia is having an uptick in America, and I think it's because of the nonsense of our community. That's a different discussion. That's a different discussion. Regardless, what I'm getting at is we have abandoned our the plight of our LGBT siblings, so to speak, around the world. When Uganda essentially implemented the death penalty for certain homosexual activities or acts, Did you see outrage at large from the LGBT communities in the most powerful countries around the world? I bet most people don't even know that Uganda did that. Guys, if you did not learn this from Atheist Republic, did you know that Uganda has basically implemented the death penalty for LGBT stuff? Where is the outrage? Where is the mobilization? Where is the care? Yeah, Amir saying no. Do we talk about how gay people get hung in Iran? No. Like, do you hear mass mobilization, mass outcry, calls for international pressure when within the span of 2 months we've had like around like 20 gay men sentenced to death through stoning and crucifixion in Yemen? No, no one hears about this. No one cares. Instead, we have progressivism, capital P progressives, mainstreaming terrorist supporting. I'm not even going to call it sympathizing. I'm going to call it straight out supporting. When you have progressive activists and so called queers for Palestine literally marching through the streets of major cities, yelling, Yemen, Yemen, make us proud, turn another ship around, talking about their attacks on random ships in the Red Sea, not even realizing, I guess because they're maybe fucking idiots, that that's the wrong fucking sea. I mean, if you really want to cause damage to Israel's ports, they only have like one tiny port connecting to the Red Sea. Most of it is going to be on the other side of the country. So instead, we're just fucking up like everyone else's trade. We're fucking up everyone else's prices on a global level. We're causing prices to rise for all of the global poor around the entire world because everyone has to completely um change their routes because of the Houthis, excuse me, the Houthis just randomly attacking ships. And then if they like hear later that one ship maybe one time was owned by a Jew, they're like, ha ha, we defeated the Zionists. Like, it's so fucking pathetic. Like, I heard that one time a Jew walked on that ship. Israel defeated confirmed. Like, it's fucking dumb. But what do we get to see? What do we get? We get the so-called progressives praising groups that openly utilize child soldiers as heroes throughout the streets of our major cities. Do they care about this? They don't care at all. No care in the world. They probably don't even care enough to know that this happened. We're stoning and crucifixion. 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 What fucking century are we in? Are you out of your mind? I saw someone I think maybe it was Apostate Prophet, I can't remember. I think maybe like tweeting about this news and being like, this is what Islam contributes to the 21st century. Crucifixion. We're going all the way back to biblical punishments, okay? Let's go back to how the Romans do. It's insane. It's absolute insanity. Um and this is why like the LGBT community in North America or the West has like zero moral legitimacy to me. If they want to talk about the basis of people not being persecuted for like if they're talking about defense of individual liberties, I'm fully on board. I'm fully on board. But we strayed away from that as the foundation of our movement a long time ago. A long time ago. For these progressives and these socialists and communists and anarchists, and I know this because I used to be one, I used to be embedded in these communities. I know their rhetoric, I know their orientations, I know their tactics. They love to talk about internationalism. They talk about internationalism all the time. For example, international worker solidarity, international solidarity with all colonized people. They talk about this all the time. The LGBT community in North America seemingly mandates that you have a left leaning political lens, which adopts many of these same sentiments of solidarity across class lines, across identity lines. This is a basis of a lot of intersectional feminism, right? Solidarity across different forms of oppression, but we have none. We do not consistently enact that as a community. So it just really pisses me off. It really pisses me off. It really pisses me off because I have felt so alienated as a member of the LGBT community for a lot of the things that I believe, the causes that I care about, what I choose to speak out against. I get demonized, I get canceled, I get ostracized, I get shunned because I talk about some of the forms of oppression, if we want to go there, that our LGBT brothers and sisters face around the world. But because it's not by the right kind of oppressor, because I don't come from the right background, because I don't have the right skin color, I'm now contributing to that oppression. Because apparently, if oppression doesn't come from a white man, it doesn't exist. There is no oppression in the world that can organically exist outside of being under the thumb of a white man, apparently. It's so absurd. It's so racist. I'm done with it. I can't stand it. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I just want to talk about what we can do as a community on the basis of individual rights. I think we should be really speaking out against what are because we have it so good. There's a lot of people that still suffer in our countries and our communities. There's a lot of mistreatment by families, etc. We're doing the best out of everyone. I don't think that can be argued against. So why don't we turn around and actually talk about how people are suffering around the world? But that's not okay. That's not acceptable because that's not my lived experience and that's not my place and but all that bullshit. Just silencing, censoring, shutting down of critical thought. I'm done with it. D is saying it's a free Susie rant. Slip that in. I know this, the Susie rant might have come early this week. I think the Susie rant came early this week because I was not planning to go off. Anyways, let's enough with my rambling. Armin, do you have anything to add?
Nope. I just wanted to address. I didn't know this is still a question here. I thought people knew. Susie, do you want to address this?
Mr. Garak is saying our community. I thought she had a boyfriend. Garak, I am bisexual, and actually, the majority of the LGBT community is bisexual. A fact is that the majority of the LGBT community are bisexuals, but we are not treated very well within the community. And I'm not just
Garrick
only
has
saying
been
that
here
from
for a while.
I'm not saying that from
Yeah, I
personal
can.
experience. I'm also saying that that's what the statistics show. I think it's very interesting that out of everyone in the LGBT community, bisexuals have some of the worst mental health outcomes. Anyways, uh, okay, so we have a few comments.
A lot of people appreciated your rant in the live chat. People are saying epic rant, so that was good.
Oh, thank you.
Well.
Yeah. I'm just tired of it.
Yeah.
And Jean is saying, yes, thank you. I was born in Russia. I know I would be dead as an openly queer person in my birthplace, but Americans are victims. Exactly. And this plays into something I've been thinking about and wanting to investigate more recently, which is that a lot of progressivism is based on looking for new forms of victimhood because it's the only thing that makes them politically relevant and salient. Because if you are not a victim, how are they useful? That needs to be unpacked.
Hmm.
Um, so Infinite Oneness gave a super chat and saying, "Why is this news not in the New York Times? Is this for real? Don't see this news." Um, to be fair, I don't actually know if this was posted in the New York Times or not. Maybe it was. I don't know. This I found this
Yep, but the
article
news is
on
real.
actually an LGBT news website. Um ba 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 and then GJ gave another super chat saying, "I think I
Oh,
dropped this
thank you.
once. I have a master's in social, cognitive, and organizational psych. Susie is working way too many jobs within Atheist Republic alone: president, CEO, chief news editor, weekly news host, delegate. There's a lot more I do besides this."
No, there's a lot more. But guys,
Yeah.
delegation require. Here's the thing. He says delegate. Okay, GJ. Delegation requires money. Okay, we can't afford to delegate because we can't hire that many people to delegate. Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.